It's time to get your pulls. Going to the comic store. Time to get your pulls. Better get those bags and boards out. Better get those pulls at the
PottyHumor.com.
Yeah.
Coming to you live from the PottyHumor.com studios, it's Getchyapulls.
Getchyapulls. Hey, welcome to Get Your Pulls, number 59. It's 10 away from the number that we're all thinking of. It's Muji.
And it's Dan.
And we got stuff. We got news. Got plenty of pulls. No back to the long box. We'll bring that back next week. But everybody's been too busy with stuff.
Yeah, I really have been trying to promote this Gypsy Joe benefit show, which will be occurring next Saturday night at Rossville, Georgia, at the Empire Arena, 22 Austin Avenue, $5 ticket. By the way, Facebook.com/Empire Wrestling for more info. Okay, sorry, had to get that out of the way.
Nice, yes. But, yeah, but luckily, there's stuff to talk about. Got tons of pulls, got some pulls, and almost back to the recently new released comic shelf. We got a couple books that came out the last couple weeks, so we got shorted on to talk about, so it's almost back to the long box. But anywho, got some news this week. First bit of news to talk about, the rumor that, which is almost, it's not a verified rumor yet, but it seems to have a lot of traction, that they're going to go for a Batman who's in his 40s for this new film. That they're going to have, it's going to be a which makes me think about what the fucking plot's going to be. The fact that he's been Batman for a while, which I guess there was nothing that happened in Man of Steel that would go against the fact that there might be a Batman in a different place. Because, I mean, he's not like an alien superhero. He's just a vigilante. So
does it even go against the Nolan shit even?
Really?
How old is Christian Bale? Are you telling me that guy's not 40?
Yeah, I mean, he is now, definitely. When those movies started, he was mid-30s, so I think he's early 40s by this point. But it's hard to tell with him because he loses weight and gains weight so many times. I think his face just looks like a geese. But yeah, that also goes to the rumor that, I'd heard that a couple of the people from the Batman franchise, even though Nolan and Bale aren't, I said they were cool to come back. Like Michael Caine was like, I'll play Alfred in whatever movie. So who knows? But a couple of the big rumors going around, who could play Josh Brolin is a big rumor that he's one of the people they're eyeing to be Batman. I think he's a very good actor and is good. I hope that there's no like sting from that Jonah Hex piece of shit that nobody watched and everybody hated. Because he was in that, so that's something that may...
Yeah, that movie was pretty rough. I liked Jonah Hex a lot and tried to watch it. And hey, to his credit, Josh Brolin was really good in it, but they didn't save it from being a piece of shit.
He's been great in everything else that I've ever seen him in. The movie... I mean, I've never seen that movie, but he's been great in everything. So he's a great choice. Or Jon Hamm, a guy who I've mentioned before from Mad Men, to be middle-aged Bruce Wayne. I think it depends on what you're going for. I mean, Jon Hamm is a little bit more polished, so I mean, he's a little different. I mean, Josh Brolin really fits more of like the Dark Knight Returns version, like a, kind of an old grizzled, like the Batman from the Dark Knight Returns might as well, like if he'd have been born 100 years earlier, then he would have just been Clint Eastwood, as we've always joked. So he fits that more, but either way, those are two tremendous options to play Batman if you're going to go in that direction. And a lot of people... Well, they want Batman to be younger so he can grow. But I mean, being realistic, whoever plays Batman, it's not going to be more than 10 years. I mean, that's just Robert Downey Jr., it's been less than that, and he's only got a couple more films. Like, nobody's playing Batman for the next, 20 years on film. You're going to be lucky if you get, 4 to 5 movies out of it. If there's a couple Justice Leagues of Batman movies. So if they cast somebody in their early 40s who's going to age into their early 50s by the time that this whole run of movies ends, that's perfectly fine with me. So I think that's cool. And then, I mean, I think those are both great options. It's just a rumor. It's better to me than them casting some guy that's like 22 or something. Like, I would rather have a guy that's, because, I mean, we don't want to see Batman Begins again. Like, that was a fine origin. I don't want to see a Batman origin. So I'd rather it be somebody who's a little bit older, who's already Batman anyways, just because I don't want to see that story retold again so quick. But that's cool, exciting news. Less exciting news for me, Kat Dennings. Think she's super hot. Think she's a terrible actress. Apparently they're doing Thor reshoots, so a lot of them revolve around her. So bummer to me that they've all of a sudden gave her a more important part of that movie, because God, if she doesn't suck at acting, but whatever.
I do know you thoroughly hated her performance in the first Thor film.
I also hate her on Two Broke Girls. I think she's just not a good actress. The other girl from Two Broke Girls, I like her okay. She's decent. Kat Dennings, super hot. Have hated. I saw Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. I thought she's been terrible in everything that I've ever seen. So that's a bummer, but whatever. Next bit of news, some positive news, is the Flash TV show.
Hell yeah!
Huge news that that's moving forward. The WB have confirmed that that's the plan that they're going to do. That they haven't officially started like locking down the series, but because it would be something that would happen like somewhere. It wouldn't be until like the fall of either 2014 or like summer of 2014. So the show's gonna be a while away, but they do have 3 episodes of Arrow next year are gonna revolve around the Flash. The first 2 he's gonna be part of an Arrow story, and the third's gonna be a backdoor pilot. It's just gonna be a Flash, like just a Flash story, just to see if people like it, just to confirm that they think that they can make a whole series about the character. But that's awesome. The WB is finally, I mean, they fucking own all these characters. Warner Brothers does. They own the WB, so it's cool that they've decided that that's, what they're going to do is try to, like I said, it doesn't have to be the same, the TV universe and the movie universe. I mean, you can try to, like, intertwine them if you want, if you like the people that are in the shows enough to put them in movies, but they could also be separate. I mean, they've got cartoons that have nothing to do with it, so they could have a TV universe and a total movie universe, and that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think either whatever they decide to do with it, it's good news for comic fans. At least from my perspective, being a huge fan of Arrow, I think they've hit a home run with that as a TV show. Great production values on the show, great effects. We've not seen anybody with powers on there yet, so that certainly is something that tests the special effects of any type of TV show that's doing something like that. I mean, everything they've done in Arrow has been very, realistic types of violence. And that's been done just exceptionally well. Now, how's the Flash going to look? What are they going to do? That all questions looming large in fans' minds, but it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and what are they going to do with the Flash TV show? I mean, I love the Flash, and if you read comics, you know that there's more to him than just the fact that he just runs fast. But when I always hear about like people being scared to make a Wonder Woman movie because like she's got this lasso, she does whatever. Like, what's the general public going to say? Well, the general public to the Flash is going to be, he fucking runs fast. Like, that's all that people, like, know that don't read comics is, oh, you're going to make a fucking TV show or a movie about this dude that's fast? It always interests me. It makes me laugh when people, like, when I just think about the comparisons. Because I think the Flash is the hardest out of the Justice League to, like, build his own thing around. But it's awesome they're going to try. And it's cool that Jeff Johns is involved. He, obviously, I think I read that he's actually writing the Flash episode.
Yes.
And, I mean, he's the fucking knows more about the Flash than anybody, so that's a great sign. And his episodes of Smallville were awesome, the couple that he did on there. So,
and that's actually one thing that he said was that he really thinks the Flash can be adapted to television. That he thinks that he can show people, that he is so much more than just a guy that runs fast, and the Speed Force and all of the things revolving around his powers and the fact that it is a superpower, but it's not like flying. It's not, so it does still, even though it's a superhuman ability, it kind of stays somewhat grounded in that Arrow universe. It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, it should be cool. And the last bit of news, if you watch, it's been blowing up the Twitterverse and the interwebs, is Joe Lynch, one of the guys from Holliston, also director of stuff, put out as a fan film. It's actually produced by the same guy who produced the Punisher fan film that we saw few months ago. Same guy. I don't know what his end game is here, throwing out this money to make all these Marvel fan films when he has nothing to do with them, and is obviously spending a decent little bit of cash to make them all.
I don't know.
Maybe it's just a rich guy that's like, I want someone to make these for me. I'm just gonna get famous people to make these for me. But
I don't know if he's like trying to apply for a job, but they might ought to think about hiring him because they've both been badass.
Yeah, I mean they've both been cool. I don't know which one I like better. But yeah, this one is called Truth in Journalism, short by Joe Lynch. You can watch it on the YouTube. Has a Ryan Kwanten from
True Blood.
Kwanten from True Blood fame. And it's about Venom, and it's awesome. Like you said, they do throw like little things in the whole time, but if you watch it, you really can't watch it now without already knowing it's about Venom, because it's just, that's what it's listed under. It's like, hey, watch this Venom short. But I just watched it when it got tweeted. Like when I watched it, it still didn't have enough YouTube views to like calculate, so it was pretty early on. It was still, the more than 300 people have watched this. We're calculating the views. And so I was just watching and was like, oh, this is cool. It's like he's doing a horrible New York accent, but it's still cool. It still looks good. And then all of a sudden, midway through, it's like, or actually towards the end, you're like, oh shit, he's Venom. And it was awesome. And the transformation they did was great. That was better than fucking every single bit of the millions of dollars they tried to use to make Venom look cool in Spider-Man 3.
It sure was. It was so creepy and unnerving, and like it.
And
really,
they made it sketchy.
Oh.
They really did make it sketchy. They really did play it in a way that's like, if somebody really did, like they grounded it in the real world. They're like, if somebody did have the fucking symbiote suit and they was like walking around, like they could just walk around and be a normal dude all the time, and then in a split second you're fucked. And it was awesome. Like it was really more of like it was like a film noir / horror short. Like it's what it turned into. It was like it was just a horror movie. Like towards the end of it is like where they went with it, and it was really good. Like I said, my only complaint was just the horrible like 3 out of 10 if I'm grading it New York accent that he was doing for it. But everything else about the whole thing I loved, and it was really awesome.
The accent was pretty bad, especially in the beginning. I thought it got a little better as it went on. It was like they didn't obviously retake that. They're like, yeah. we got a budget, shoot it. Okay, your accent sucks. Well, it better get better by the end, and it did. But,
well, yeah, I mean, that's why I give it a 3. I would give it a 1 out of 10 for the first 5 minutes, and then for the next 13 minutes, I would give it like a 5.
Fair enough, but an awesome cameo.
But it wasn't enough to ruin it. It was still great.
Venom is it's centered around Eddie Brock version, but there was a really awesome cameo there after the credits.
A fat bullseye.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Well, you spoil it for the viewers who haven't seen it, but yeah, it's actually the guy that played Jason in the Friday the 13th remake. I can't remember that guy's name off the top of my head.
Not Kane Hodder.
No, but he does kind of look like WWE superstar Kane.
A little bit.
But yeah, like they stumble upon this guy doing assassination work, and like to the T, he's got a fucking sigh, and then he borrows his pen and fucking kills a guy with it. It's great. Fucking great. Watch it.
Yeah, it was really good. It's really fun, really awesome. I don't know why you're making these, dude, but keep making them.
Yeah, please.
I don't know what your deal is, what your plan is, but keep on keeping on, bro. But yeah, that's it for the news for this week. We got tons of pulls.
Oh yeah, lots of pulls.
I guess we'll go back. I'll do these in this order. We'll go back to not new pulls, things that picked up, got shorted at the comic book store, so I had to order them from online. But we got a couple cool things. Start with All New X-Men number 14. Another very, very, very interesting and cool comic book. Kind of got a little bit, pulled the wool over your eyes a little bit. Last week it looked like Jean was going to turn into the Phoenix and freak out on everybody. And Wolverine was prepared to kill her, and then it turns out she was just projecting that into the...
Lady Mastermind.
Yeah, she was just projecting that, just to try to get Lady Mastermind, but she doesn't know her powers all the way, so she's projecting it to everybody, so the rest of the X-Men were getting ready to kill her, so...
She was like, sorry, I didn't know you could see it.
She was like, my bad. And, yeah, they're like, what the fuck, bro? And it was a very good episode. Issue. They did a lot in the issue, actually, but it was cool. Wolverine the X-Men Part 3.
Loving
Of the Hellfire Saga.
Loving the Hellfire Saga. It's really a treat for longtime X-Men fans and new fans alike, I think.
Yeah, it's been very entertaining. Without spoiling the specifics in case you haven't read it or getting caught up on it. I mean, basically, a bunch of the people from the G school got recruited to come to the Hellfire Academy. A bunch of the kids did. And you kind of figured out that most of them that went over there didn't go over there because they wanted to be bad guys. They went there for their own reasons, to try to penetrate the academy, and basically, and then they just kind of followed each other. I mean, that's basically looked like what happened. It's like, oh, Bru's going, so I'm going. Then, oh, you're going, well, I'm going. And they were just kind of all looking after each other. Well, by this one, the fucking X-Men show up. So we'll see we got 2 more issues of it, so see what's going to happen. But it's been very entertaining.
Yeah, I really think they've got something with this new Hellfire Club. Gonna be interested to see if they kill them off at the end of this, because I don't know, they're kind of putting these kids in a position to where they may not get away alive from all the heinous things they're doing to the X-Men.
This is very true. Then Batman 66 number 1. We're going to pull my pull list just because I have a bunch of Batman books, and sold out its first week, so ordered it in the mail just to check it out. It's a digital first, of course, so if that's your thing, if you're an asshole, or if you just use your completely legitimate choose to read digital instead of print, whichever way you want to look at it. And you can read it online. It's the same price. I mean, they're $1 a piece. Get them on Comixology, or you can get the collected for $3.99. Actually cheaper. Get a little discount at the comic book store. So a little bit cheaper to get the actual thing that lives and not the file, but whatever you want. But but finally got it, and it's gonna have to keep getting bought. It's so entertaining.
Yeah, the word you used to be, I believe, was delightful. I think that's probably the best way you could describe it. Had to send a tweet out to the creators there on the book and just say that, thanks. It really made me grin from ear to ear the entire time. And like Jeff Parker, the writer, Jonathan Case, the artist, they captured Batman 66.
I mean, it looks like they went back and watched a bunch of episodes. I mean, all the dialogue is perfect. It actually made me just randomly go on TV and watch an episode of old Batman. I mean, it's one of those things where, I prefer darker Batman. If there could only be one, I want serious adult Batman because he's just cooler, because he's just a badass. But, it makes you remember, why as a kid, before you knew about that, you loved old school Batman, and both of them can exist. It's perfectly fine.
Damn
it's cool.
Right.
I mean, all the other Batman books, he's dark and brooding. I mean, basically everybody, he's goddamn Batman in every book that goes on right now, basically. I mean, that's it. He's Frank Miller's Batman, which he should be, because, that's the best Batman. But if you just want a fun Batman, then this is it. This book is most definitely, most of the DC books kind of have, there's some that are different, but the majority of them do kind of have the same vibe. But, because this is digital and it's outside the New 52, they were able to take it in a different direction. And yeah, it's great. It's hilarious. It's fun. Everybody that's in it is great. Like I said, the dialogue seems perfect the whole time.
The Alf pole.
Yes, Alfred goes down the Alf pole, which is awesome. Yeah, there's just tons and tons of great stuff in here. Plenty of old chums, plenty of everything that you loved about the show.
Oh, you can just, you don't even have to try to hear the voices of Adam West and Burt Ward. It just is so natural,
Yeah, exactly. They have a little random run in here.
With Dracula.
With Dracula.
The classic, if you're anybody fans of the Batman 66 series, you remember, in every episode, they would do the deal where they're scaling the side of the building and fucking Art Carney or somebody would pop their head out. Well, in this issue, the celebrity is Dracula.
Yeah, and he sees Batman. It's a man in a bat cape. He's like, came to the city because I thought I wouldn't have any competition. And he's like, oh, well, nice capes. It's great. The whole thing's great. So I give that the highest recommendation. Batman 66 was crazy enjoyable, and definitely I'll have to check out the next one when it comes out.
Now those DVDs are available. They're gonna have to get bought for Christmas this year, I do believe.
Yeah, so that rules. And then, which is kind of cool. Basically, all versions of Batman. You got this, and then you also had the digital first Batman Beyond, which is kind of, their continuation of the animated series. So basically, however you, and I mean, and then obviously, even though they're different, it was a little, it was a little more clowny. I mean, the Batman from all the movies is basically the Batman we have in regular comics. So whichever version of Batman you like the best, there's something for you at DC right now. So all the things they do right or wrong, Batman, they seem to be doing right. Then we'll get into pulls from this week, the new pulls. Start out with my DC books, because got a couple. Speaking of Batman, 2 annuals. Got the Batman Detective Comics, which came out. Written by John Layman, the regular writer, so that's awesome. It was a cool story. A lot of it's about Harvey Bullock, which is cool. That's one of the best things. I mean, you go either way. When an annual is important to the story, that's awesome, but it's also a time where it's perfectly fine for it to not to be. It ties into the regular story just a little bit. I mean, there is like a brief tie-in to the Wrath guy that they were fighting in the last issue. Like, he pops in, but the story really isn't about him. It's about Harvey Bullock and also a little used Batman villain, Jane Doe, if you know Jane Doe. She's a master of disguise, as her name kind of hints towards. Nobody knows actually who she is. She looks like the Red Skull, basically, walking around. She's got, a no-skin face, but she's great at disguise. So it's about, she basically tricks Harvey Bullock into thinking that she's a girl that Harvey likes and into her, and then she's, of course, got a plan to fuck stuff up. But that's all I'll say, because you ain't read it yet. But that is that. Enjoyed it a lot, and really enjoyed the Batman annual, as you would guess. Not written by Scott Snyder. He scripted the story. He's got a credit on the front, but it's written by Marguerite Bennett, another one of Snyder's former students from writing school. Apparently, you need to sign up to a workshop he does, because apparently if you do, then you can get a job at DC. Ticket. That is the ticket. And the art is by Wes Craig. I can't remember. He's doing something big that's about to come out, but he's in this. But it's cool. It's a really great. You can tell it's a Snyderish idea, because Snyder, always really thinks. If you've listened to him on the Fat Man on Batman podcast, which we highly recommend, he really always thinks about Batman. Like, he thinks about the universe and like really goes deep into like why things are the way they are everywhere. And so this was a really interesting idea, and it turned out to be a good comic. I thought it was very good. It wasn't like among the best comics that he's written or scripted or whatever, but it was still really good. The idea that starts out the story, Batman locks himself in Arkham. They put him in the most maximum security because Batman wants to, help Arkham Asylum see how people could break out. So they basically lock him in a cell, and then he has to fight his way out of Arkham. And in every room, he's like, well, I can break out of here because of this. Like, if you get, if the Riddler's in here, then he's going to have this. If Joker's in here, then he's going to break out because of this reason. So that's the reason Batman's in Arkham. But then you find out there's another person locked in there called the Anchoress, who's this old woman who doesn't age as fast as she's supposed to. So she's been in Arkham since like the late 1800s or early 1900s, I think. Like, as long as the place has been built, she's basically been in there. And she hates Batman because the whole story is about when she was younger, Arkham was a place that people actually went to get better. It's a place where, like, if you had a problem and you had some sort of psychiatric issue, they could actually, heal you. But now it's just about keeping the criminals and the really crazy people locked up. So nobody really gets the care they're supposed to anymore. And it's not a place that anyone gets healed, because you're in there with the Joker and the Riddler and all these people. And she blames Batman because, Batman's the reason those criminals exist, is because, the age-old, now that there's a hero in a mask, there's going to be even crazier villains in a mask. So she tells her story from that, where, she's kind of the villain in the story, but you also feel bad for her, because she's like, I was getting better, and then Batman showed up, and now nobody pays attention to me because I'm not dangerous. I'm just, have like, a sick mind. Like, I was never a danger to anyone. It's like I'm just fucked up, and now I can't get help, and it's Batman's fault. So it's a really good story. I thought it was a really interesting take on Arkham. A really great way to look at it from the point of view of not Batman or one of, the prisoners. So, or one of Batman's foes. So it was really interesting. It was a good read. There was some stuff in. I know you haven't read it yet, but there was some stuff. I hate people go to the well too much on this, because it's like everything. Like, part of her thing is that she she's in there and she can like kind of like get into your mind. Like that's the reason, you know, she has, I can't remember, you'll read it, but she had something that like messed her up to where she can get in other people's mind, and that's what she was like trying to get healed. So she has to go to like try to make Batman freaked out, make him like look at memories of his parents dying. If it's 5 years before I see somebody draw Batman thinking about his parents dying, it will be too soon. I don't need that like every like 5 issues. It seems like, and that also makes sense too. You've got like, you know, somebody else writing this. Like everyone's first issue of writing a Batman story, it seems, is I've always had this great story, and part of it is Batman thinking about his parents dying. I mean, in The Dark Knight, they basically did like a fucking 7-issue story of Scarecrow, and that's all he did. It was like, think about your parents dying, think about your parents dying, think about your parents dying. But it's still really good. That's just a small gripe. I think it's kind of a cheap way to try to get at Batman. But anywho, on the next one, got the Wake, Vertigo, Wake number 3.
Oh, shit.
I gotta tell you, man, it's, as predicted, it's only issue 3 out of 10, so we got 7 more. You know, in the beginning, you immediately looked at it and were like, this is awesome. You know, Snyder is great, and he is original. Lots of times he starts things out, such as like the Joker, the death in the family, or death of the family, where you're like, you know, he seems like he's almost like writing like a fan letter to like something. And when this came out, you know, but you know he's going to have some sort of a crazy twist. When this came out, you're like, I mean, he's obviously, you know, he's kind of doing the Thing or Alien, like that's the gimmick of the story, but we're going to see where he takes it. I thought it would take longer, but like that's kind of over now in issue 3. Things get crazy. Like I thought this would be something that would happen, like everything that happens in this issue, or things I like thought would happen, but I thought they would happen in like issue 8. But they happen here, and there's 7 more issues, so I'm really, this is the best issue of it. Now I'm really interested in what's going to happen next, because I'm just like, oh, well, shit has hit the fan, and we've still got 7 more issues, so let's see what happens.
Sweet.
Yeah, so it was very, very good. Then moving on to my couple of Marvel pulls for the week. Through those bad boys. FF number 10. It's an interesting read. It does address... It has some cool stuff in it. The kids go on like their own little mission, which is cool, and then the adults also are in their own mission. They find out somehow they go to this. They basically are being pitched to do some sort of like they're being pitched to do a comic book about the FF, and they're being pitched by Fraction and Allred and Tom Brevoort. You know, their editor. So they're drawn to the comic. You're like, hey, who's that hipster? Oh, it's Matt Fraction, and he's Matt Fraction in the book. So they've written themselves in the book, which I like. Some people did. I read online. Some people didn't like it. Oh, put yourself in the book. But I'm all about insider fanboy stuff as long as it's good. And
yeah, as long as you're not doing it just to do it, like, or as we would say in wrestling, just to pop the boys. You know, you know a lot of people that'll do things just to make their buddies in the locker room laugh. But if it's not helping the ticket sales or the paying customer, then it's a bad service. So, as you know, I don't think there's a problem with doing stuff like that, but there's a time and a place for it.
Yeah, but it's a great little story. They're being pitched this, and they're like in an amusement park, and the some of the kids have this like little small pet tiger, and they're like, you know, they're like, did you use Pym particles to shrink that tiger? And they're like, no. And then they accidentally shake the Pym particles on the FF, so then they get shrunk even smaller than the tiger. So then, you know, them and the people from Marvel are trying to escape getting eaten by the tiger, you know. So, and then it's also the insider thing too on like the whole thing of the story is like they don't think they can write anything. They're like, what are we gonna do? Like, how are we gonna write a comic? You know, it's like they want to do the comic, but Fraction is 100% against it, the Fraction character in it, because he's like, you guys don't do anything. You guys just hang around in the building and like don't go on any adventures. He's like, what? It's like, how am I going to write a comic about you? And of course, kind of what the comic is. So, I mean, it's more about like the interaction between all the weirdos in there than it is about the story. So I liked it. I thought it was well done. I mean, if it would have sucked, it would have been like, oh, nice job, assholes. But it was good, so I thought it was cool. Then Daredevil.
Man,
29.
you had a stacked week. You had like all the best books.
I had 6, but then I also, you know, had the three left over. So, but I mean, yeah, it was a good week. Daredevil number 29, which surprise, surprise, was really good. If you remember last issue, Daredevil is in the courtroom and the judge has shot his buddy that he's trying to help. And so this issue is basically, Daredevil immediately figures out, the cops come in and Daredevil's like, and everybody in the courtroom is a plant, they're all like, get the shooter, he ran outside, and Daredevil's like, the judge is the one that shot him, and then the judge whispers in his ears, like, who are they going to believe? Everybody else in here, or the blind guy? How could you have seen who did it? And so, then they have to basically work their way and fight their way out of the courtroom, and he has to try to get his buddy to safety without getting, blown up. So it was good. It's always good. And the Indestructible Hulk. Say this for last, number 11, because it was the most interesting, because I really like the story that they've gone with. It's a tie-in. It's a little bit of like it's not a tie-in, it's a little bit of coming out of Age of Ultron. The Hulk is going on a mission, and during the mission, he finds out that some stuff is fucked up. He finds out he all of a sudden can't, like, remember the names of people and, can't figure things out. And basically the whole premise of the book is that all the people in Marvel, because everybody's jumping back and forth, like, so I'll have to look. He's with a villain, someone who's historically a villain, but now he finds out that S.H.I.E.L.D.'s working with him to try to fix a problem in the time continuum. And basically what Banner is told is like, you guys are jumping back and forth, Wolverine and Sue Storm, went back through time multiple times during Age of Ultron. He's like, we have the whole X-Men from the 60s are living in today. They're like, the space-time continuum's fucked. He's like, everybody keeps jumping back and forth, thinks there's going to be no consequences. Well, now there's consequences. And he's like, and Hulk's trying to, like, think of people's names. And he's like, yeah, you can't think of their names because they're about to not exist. So he finds out that the Red She-Hulk doesn't exist anymore. That she just doesn't exist. So now Banner's got to find a way to, like, fix the time continuum so that people don't disappear. So that people don't disappear, yeah. Like, he's finding out that they've severely fucked it, and now I'm guessing that's going to be a big storyline in Marvel, which makes you think, so what's going to happen with some of the books, if that's going to be a thing that, they're going to have to try to keep from happening, and that's probably going to be some of their big events going forward that they're kind of, throwing this into. His name is Zarko the Tomorrow Man, is the guy that he has to work with.
Not familiar.
Yes. He's a criminal, as it says in the book, he's a criminal from the 23rd century who comes back to our times frequently. So, he's a criminal from the future who's come back, and he's the one that advises the Hulk that things are fucked and that they have to fix things. So, it's a very, very interesting book. And then, of course, they decide that they're going to try to fix the time continuum and do some shit. And they come up with a plan to where they actually get, because they need it to be a two-man job, they actually put Banner's mind into like a robot, and then Hulk is just Hulk. And so Banner and Hulk are going to go on a team-up mission, and then they accidentally go to the Old West, and there's a dinosaur there, so things are fucked up.
Oh man, that's that is really cool, because that's some really shared universe stuff they're doing. That actually leads me to my first pull, which was Guardians of the Galaxy number 5, also dealing with the effects of the broken time stream in Marvel and the results of Age of Ultron. Most specifically, Angela, who was, according to her internal monologue here, she was in the heavens and she was displaced from her home into the strange world. She wants to know why in the fuck she is here.
She's like, where's Spawn? Where's Spawn? I wish that was the whole book. When she came out, and she's like, where's Spawn? Spawn, where's Spawn?
In the meantime, you see Tony Stark and Rocket Raccoon having a discussion about Tony and Gamora's sexual escapades, and Gamora walks in on them and makes for a pretty hilarious, awkward moment.
Busted.
And Peter Quill's off on his own side mission, trying to hump other green aliens, based on Star Trek, which he explains to the lady.
Nice.
During all of this, he has a freak-out moment where he sees millions of alternate reality versions of himself. What happened? Well, it's this whole time stream business,
You think this whole like thing is just based on that one scene and being John Malkovich? They're like, Malkovich. So like, let's write an event based around that Malkovich scene.
I wouldn't put it past him. That's all I'm saying.
I wouldn't hate it.
We also get a taste of some of Drax the Destroyer's torture techniques as he's trying to get some information out of one of the evil aliens that attacked him. And see, Gamora and Angela finally head up, and also a revelation that everybody knows that it was Earth's fault that the time stream is fucked. That would include Thanos, who has confronted Peter Quill about it. So shit's about to get hairy.
Includes the old MFT himself.
MFT knows what's up, but he says, "You got some splaining to do, Lucy." And moving on to Uncanny X-Men number 9, Dazzler, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and her saga continues. We see Dazzler and Goldballs still at odds, and Dazzler takes him into custody.
This really seems like it's more of like a Jason Aaron Wolverine the X-Men story than it does a Bendis story. If you would have told me that in one of these books, Dazzler would be fighting a character called Goldballs, I would have definitely thought it was at the Jean Grey school. Well,
she cuffs Goldballs and takes him in. He has a Goldball freak out on her. And then about this time, the X-Men teleport in, Cyclops team, of course, to want to know why S.H.I.E.L.D. has abducted this mutant that they let go on his own free will. And see some craziness go down. Maria Hill gets teleported to the beach by Ileana.
And she's not even mad. She's like, "Thank you."
They try to get Dazzler to go with them, but she says no, and Cyclops calls her an Uncle Tom.
Nice.
And then get a little surprise appearance from Mystique, who's really got her grubby little mitts in everything these days.
She's all over the place. Magneto being a babyface, she's like, somebody's got to step up and be the best evil mutant, so I think it's going to be me.
Well, I got no problems with that, because I love Mystique, and they've done her justice in all of these recent storylines. Just she's been away from the Marvel Universe for a while, don't know why, but glad to have her back.
Nice.
On to the DC Universe. We'll start outside of the New 52 with the Smallville Special, number 2, season 11.
So special.
This is another unique story, not involving Superman. The last time they did a special, which seems like was about a week ago, but it was really a few months ago, they did a Batman and Martian Manhunter team up, and that was really cool. This time, a team up of a different sort, Lois Lane and Lana Lang.
Screw you, Chris and Crook. You thought you were out. But comics got you back in.
Just when she thought she was out. I guess the last time we saw Lana on the show, they faked her death, and then she was gone for a long time, and then she came back as a spy who was had badass secret agent training all of a sudden, which, hey.
Yeah, she was working, she was working with Clark's mom, who also somehow was in... Everybody got in some sort of a group before the time it was over. Everybody was in some organization.
Yeah, she was in Checkmate. She was the Red Queen.
Yeah.
Martha Kent was. But this was a really fun story. I mean, they really captured Lois probably better than they have yet in the Smallville series. I mean, they've done a good job, but the Erica Durant's version, even the art is well done to look like her. We find out this time Lana now has powers. She's actually been working in a peacekeeping mission over in Africa, and Lois is over there doing a story, and of course they run into each other.
And Lana's like, they say don't drink the water, but I did, and look what I can do now.
And they find these evil African warlords are selling these children into child slavery and sex trade and all of this, so Lana is using her powers to fight these warlords, and who shows up? None other than Brian Austin Green.
Damn it.
Or Metallo in the Smallville universe, and makes things difficult for Lana and Lois, but they team up. Lana loses her powers, but they use their smarts to beat him. And it's just everything I love about the Smallville comics and them continuing this. This is all of the quirky, dumb fun that Smallville could bring, and really letting the ladies show off. And I was a fan of both of those ladies on the show, so no problem at all there.
Was Lois just like, hey, remember you like me? Isn't that the introduction of every character? That was the ongoing thing. Every hero that ever came in, whether it be Aquaman, the Green Arrow, whoever it is, they come in and they get down with Lois, and then they have their story. Like, that's their immediate introduction into it. It's like, oh, Lois is hot. I think I'll hang out in Metropolis for a while, or I'll hang out in Smallville for a while. And then they have their story, and then they go on with their life. Except for the kid Flash. He was too young.
Yeah, he couldn't get a piece.
No. Almost got Chloe. Almost.
Almost.
Chloe was like the nerdier one. She was like if the nerdy character showed up, then maybe she would. Because somebody. I think that's the whole thing of Smallville. Is like Clark has all these ladies that put out to other people with superpowers, and he assembles a crew based on that. I think that's the whole. I've watched so long, I just put that together. That's how the Justice League actually came together, was because of the Poontang. At least in that universe.
Moving into a different universe now, the New 52 with the Flash Annual number 2. This actually is a modern day, but mostly reminiscing story, and it's really awesome, of the first time that the Flash and Green Lantern met. And it tells a story about them going to this planet and fighting this war colony of people, and ultimately to rescue these children that they've all a lot of child abduction in the DC annuals.
Yes.
These children that they're abducting and turning into monsters. To rescue them, they have to make a deal that they'll come back later and defend their championship. And so they're like, whatever, you know. And of course, they called him back years later in the modern day. And it's just a fun tale of the dynamic between the Green Lantern and the Flash, which is really one of the great friendships in DC. They have some of the best back and forth and rapport with each other, and so very cool to see. Also, there's a nice little backup there in the back that dealt with the Flash and... Oh, yeah, very awesome, actually. It dealt with a guy that Flash had saved this family from a burning building, and the mom died, and years later, the dad is threatening to kill a bunch of people because he blames the Flash, and the Flash has to come talk him out of it. It's very heartwarming and all.
Nice.
Very cool, very cool.
Think about, the Flash, like, I guess all the Justice League guys just met in the Justice League book, where they just kind of all came together. So I guess they have most of their first meetings, we at least kind of know about, at least somewhat. You know how, like, basically the Flash is famous, because him and Superman met, and had a race, and that was, like, their big thing. Somebody really should have wrote him and Batman meeting for the first time, and Flash being like, "Ben, I'm faster than you," on a race, and Batman being like, "Okay, is that over there cool for finish line?" And then you should have just fucking punched the Flash. Somebody needs to do that. If they rewrite a Batman and Flash first meeting, make that happen, DC. I want to see a sucker punch.
Well, I was really excited to see Hal and Barry team up. They really haven't done any of that in the New 52. There was quite a bit of it in the Jeff Johns stuff before the reboot, and so they've kind of taken a break from that, and bringing it back was very cool. I hope to see more in the future. I hope that's not just a one-time thing of them teaming up.
I think after the Villains Month and the Forever Evil, that's the first, like, DC, like, across-the-board story that's supposed to affect everybody. We're probably going to see, like, a lot more of the universe, like, a lot more of the characters crossing each other's paths. I think it's been enough time. I mean, we've had, we're in issue 20, basically everybody's had almost 3 full stories of just their own, so I think it's plenty okay if there start being, team-ups in the books and stuff now.
Yeah, absolutely. My pick of the week, actually, gonna end it this way. Animal Man number 2. This was just fantastic.
Whoever's on the front there looks awesome.
That's the clutches of Anansi, the Spider Queen. Written by Jeff Lemire, of course. The original artist, Travel Foreman, returns for this issue.
Oh, he's not cutting himself anymore so he can draw comics again. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, he left due to some personal reasons. Apparently the content was pretty heavy for him. But he's back.
By the way, we got an idea to pitch you, so ignore that. But keep going.
This issue really deals with the best, actually, of him dealing with the loss of his son, Cliff. This has been an ongoing theme in the book, but this really... I think this might be where they kind of put his grieving process to rest a little bit, because it was so touching. And I, foremost, I will admit, if you're not a parent, it probably won't get you, though, because I got a little teared up in this one. I'll readily admit it was that well done. He flashes back to the day that his daughter Maxine was born, and when Cliff, the kid that had just recently died, was a younger kid, and an adventure that they went on together, essentially. And they were helping out the cops, and they run into this part of town that spider webs have engulfed, and trying to figure out what the hell's going on there. Follows the trail down into the sewers, and he finds that Anansi, the Spider Queen, has quarantined that area and taken it over for herself. And
the art looks fantastic in here. It is a bummer that dude needed some milk and had to stop drawing the book because it looks so great. I mean, it looks good all the time, but he draws particularly great. It looks really good this one.
Foreman really has a unique style. But really, what they all think to be physical damage is really not. She's got Cliff tied up in a spider web, but she's eating their dreams, she explains to him. And that's an old African legend, actually, the Nancy, the Spider Queen. So, that ties into some actual mythology. Cliff talks her out of it, explains that, look, you can't... They come to an understanding that she's not actually an evil villain, that she's just a creature that is displaced here, and didn't understand what was going on. She agrees to stay in the sewer and leave them alone. They agree to leave her alone.
Eat some rat dreams, bro.
And
you can only eat the dreams of rats and turtles.
And so Buddy saves all the people that she's abducted and everything, and life is good. He gets home. Baby Maxine is born. Of course his wife has left him, and his daughter's still alive, but she's estranged and won't let Buddy see her, and so that's rough, and he's really beating himself up over all this. He's a man alone. In the last few issues, you see he's been kind of crying in his beer over it. And
let me guess, is he going to try to find her to get her to eat his dreams?
No, he does go try to find her, and he does. He wants to see Cliff's dreams.
Ugh.
And that was his dream, right there, that page spread. He would, because she ate Cliff's dreams while she had him there, so, he comes back years after he's dead and says, do you still have him? She says, yeah, I'll show you. And it's, of course, his dream was him flying around. An
adventure with his dad.
Yeah, that part just fucking, oh,
that's pretty good.
That was, good. Oh, man.
I mean, if I didn't know that Cliff will one day live again,
right,
it might get me to tears. Like, if this is an Image book, I'm not saying that it would be any better, but it might. If it's like The Walking Dead, I might be like, holy shit, that's sad.
Yeah. God, that was a gut wrencher, folks. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Good job. Damn you, Lemire. Way to get people.
Yeah, fantastic. Going to be a short week for me next week. I only got Avengers and Green Lantern on the pull list. Actually, no, I think I might have Thanos Rising number 5. The list looked fucked up. I couldn't tell if that was a poster for it or the actual book.
I think I have 5 or 6 next week. I think I have 6. What is next week? I have a Green Arrow or just a regular Detective Comics. I think Trillium number 1 from Jeff Lemire. His new Vertigo series is coming out, so that's exciting. Nice burp there. I have Fatal next week, so that's cool. So a couple more. So good week. Good week on the rise. So yeah, if you want to go out and enjoy yourself, get some good stories, or if you want to possibly shed some tears, then go to your comic book store and get your pulls.